All right, I think we are live. Everybody in the chat, just let me know if you're hearing audio. Last week we had some problems. I had no audio and I was yakking for like 2 minutes and there was nothing coming out. So if you guys are hearing good audio, everything good, just somebody make a comment, please. So welcome to Loud and Clear with Glenn Schick, where we talk about mastering, audio production, and the things that actually make records translate in the real world. I'm Glenn Schick, and I'm a mastering engineer with more than 3 decades of work. Greetings from lovely Reykjavik, Iceland. That's right, I'm in Iceland. It's a lovely day, 42 degrees or about 7 degrees Celsius, and it's not raining or windy, so I'm happy. So this is episode 5 of Loud and Clear, and today we're going to have a gentleman I've known for quite so many years now and been working with as well. His name is Ari Morris, and some of the notables of artists that he works with. Ari, by the way, is both a fantastic mixer and a producer. Some of the artists he's worked with that you might have heard of are Pooh Shiesty, Young Dolph, Key Glock, Rod Wave, and Moneybag Yo. And without further ado, let's welcome Ari Morris.
Yo.
What's happening, Ari?
Hey, Glenn.
How are you, my friend?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm very good. So I invited you on the program just to kind of ask, like, what really makes a good mix different from a great mix, and some of your experiences specifically, and some of the artists we spoke about initially, like Pooh Shiesty, who, while I was pulling up your credits, this was a project we both thankfully worked on, and was #1 last year globally, and is now 7 times gold. So congratulations to everybody involved.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And you also produce, you work with an artist named Taliba Safia, if I'm saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
tell her a little about Taliba's stuff.
Taliba's awesome, man. She's kind of a neo soul alternative R&B artist from Memphis that I've been working with for some years now. We've done 2 albums together, and I mean, she's one of the most interesting songwriters that I've gotten to sit in studio with. Incredible performer. It's fun, man. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, when I heard that stuff, I thought this is a really different take on neo soul, and it was kind of really refreshing. So good job on that. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's taken her all over the world right now, which is awesome. She's, you know, she's traveling and performing, that's the dream. That's the goal.
Very cool. So, like, I'm trying to remember, when did we start working together? Do you remember the very first thing?
Um, I know that it was right around when DS2 came out because the Future album,
Right.
because I was listening to that in the studio. Me and actually the mixer that I trained under, Neil Jones, we were both listening to that and we were like, hold on. We loved it.
Right.
We loved how it sat. And then we were like, we found that you had mastered it. So probably whatever Dolph project I was doing right after that came out, which is the closest I can give you to a when.
So I'm going to guess that's around 2014, 15-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere in that neighborhood. And so there's also kind of, I guess, Seth Perkins a little bit connection too, because didn't you track that Moneybag Yo 2X Federal album?
I think I recorded a chunk of it, if I
Yeah, I
remember.
thought so. And Seth
Mhm.
mixed that, and I mastered that. So we have a few earlier connections, I think.
Man, way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny to talk about that as way back. That seems like not that long ago. Yeah.
It was 11 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me how fast time's flying for me right now. Um, so yeah, we're basically, similar backgrounds. We both come from the Northeast. We're both kind of these displaced Jewish kids that are doing hip hop that ended up kind of deep in the culture. Um, how'd you kind of start into that?
Um, I mean, I'm from Jersey, so like and I grew up in Jersey in the early 90s, so like I grew up on, early mid 90s into 2000s, and like I grew up on East Coast hip hop and hardcore music.
Are we talking
Um,
like Pete Rock and Seal Smooth and that kind of
no,
stuff?
no,
What?
we're talking more late 90s side of it into the 2000s, Dipset, G Unit. Um, Wu-Tang, all that Philly battle rap, Jedi mind tricks, all of that kind of stuff. Was always like my passion, that and just heavy music.
Mhm.
I found my way down to Memphis and I started interning at a studio down here. And the guy that I was working under is no, Neil Jones is known for like, Eight Ball's hit records, MJG's big records, Tila's records, Lil Wayne albums, like kind of a whole bunch of Southern music from that time. And so like working under him, I kind of just got a tutelage in Memphis rap and just kind of jumped in the deep end, and just kind of went for it.
Yeah, no, I've got a similar kind of story from Atlanta. So, yeah, I think I was down in Atlanta in '98 or '99, and you hit Memphis when?
2007.
All right, so we made our mark on the South, and thankful for it. Uh, I just wanted to find out, what do you think about the state of current hip hop in the South, Memphis, in general?
I mean, when you talk about Memphis, like Memphis kind of like artists from Memphis have a way of just like unintentionally setting the trends. And, producers too from Memphis just kind of like have this way of like it's not a very like calculated industry way, but it's just a way of setting trends. And, I mean, we've been doing it out of here for years and years and years and years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, I've been working with Memphis producers, Jazzy Faye from way back, and
Hmm.
all those guys that really
Trouble
kind of,
Boy.
yes, and I know I'm forgetting like some major names here for a second, but yeah, Memphis guys were always present in Atlanta, doing their thing, and they were definitely pioneers of really bringing some interesting sounds always. So, lots of respect for Memphis folks. So.
Yeah. Nowadays it's a lot of the new guys. It's Hit Kid, it's TP, it's Red. Um, but like these guys are all just kind of pushing their own ways and pushing it in cool ways.
Yeah, no, I love working with people from Memphis, and yeah, there's always pretty good stuff coming out of that way. So, I guess you're thankful you're there. So,
I mean, I built a studio here, so yeah, I'm
yeah.
pretty happy to be here.
So speaking of studios, let's talk about mixing for a second. When you're getting into a mix, what's your first place you're starting on a mix when you start?
I mean, the very first thing that I do is listen to the rough usually. If it's a song that I haven't been like intimately involved in, nice, no name.
No name.
Um, like if it's not a record that I've been like intimately involved in from the conception,
Right.
first thing I'll do is just listen to the rough, get an idea of what the song is once, maybe twice, usually. And then where I start kind of depends. Like if I feel like the vocals just need a lot of work, I'll just start there and just mute everything and just do, I guess, like a cleanup pass, kind of just just dealing with the stuff that's like a problem, like dealing with the shit that's really bothering me in there, um, and getting them to a point where like I can hear them in a way that like they feel for me.
Mhm.
And then I'll kind of just leave them be as a placeholder for a while and, kind of start usually with the drums and building out, and then it'll go like drums, back to vocal, music comes in. If it's like a much more like hip hop record, then like drums and sample happen at once because the drums are really part of the context of the same. A lot of it depends. But yeah, a lot of the time nowadays, I'm really like, I'm dialing my vocals, say 70, 80% of where I want it to be, and then I'm starting the record.
Right. So, when you're getting stuff in, like, what's like the big like red flags you get when you're pulling stuff up on your tracks and you're like listening down to all these things? What are like some really common red flags you'd hear?
Hmm.
Would it be
Um,
would it be like over processing or like
yeah, I mean, it's just shitty recording is first, like, okay, like where, because there's like empirical problems and then there's like creative taste, right? And so like empirical problems to me are like, okay, is this recorded? Like, do we have too much room? Like, am I hamstrung? Is this now the ambience of the vocal? Like kind of where like key problems with the vocal, if other instruments were recorded, like how well were they recorded? Um,
so
you
I
know,
keep beating into people's head like source tracks. Most important thing, source tracks. So
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like source tracks and tone.
yeah.
Um, like really like it is there like tone and care put into the mid range, or is there just nothing yet? And if there's nothing yet, it's like, all right, now we really got to go more like as I always read, like the Andy Wallace approach of like, I'm going to solo each instrument, I'm going to make
Mhm.
it sound right, and then I'm going to mix them all together, which is, kind of the way he's explained it the few times he really talks about it.
Right.
And like, I feel like nowadays that's like what one has to do if it's like there's just no detail put into anything. But like
So
if the sound design is right, and the production is choice and put together in a way that's like already doing something, then it's more about like, okay, now we have something that's vibing. So like, how do we mix it?
so do you find like especially like with the younger kids that are handing you stuff, do you find like they're just over processing the crap out of stuff with like way too many plugins?
Um, on like on most recorded vocals, absolutely. Um, because it's like if the job of a recording engineer, right, is to like capture the vibe and the energy and like all the intangible of like a great performance. I mean, most of the time we're trying to capture what's happening in the room. Like now sometimes, it's music, so there's always exceptions. There's artists that don't sound organic in any way, shape, or form. And if they don't, then the sound is much more in an over processing. But 9 times out of 10, the artist is supposed to sound like what's coming out of their voice, and like
Sure.
you get the rawest, realest performance when what's coming out of their headphones is pretty much this. And it gives you a better performance that then gives you a better mix and a better record and a better everything, and like
Sure.
when they're super heavily processed, especially if they're cut to that, right? Like,
Mhm.
because a lot of the time artists are cutting through 3 compressors, 4 EQs, 2 different channel strips. Like, the point of picking a good mic, the right preamp, when people say the right preamp, it's not because there's one right one. It's like there's different, I've used very different things as key pieces of gear for different artists that I've recorded over
For
years and
sure.
years and years. It's not it's music. So
Right.
like
There's
the
no
more
no templates and no formulas that really work for
not
any of
for
this stuff.
tone,
No, definitely not.
not for tone ever. And like you end up fucking up the performance because the artist, if they're talented at all and they're hearing themselves through all this processing, is subconsciously tailoring their performance and their tone that they're projecting to like counteract however many filters and other dynamics processors and spatial expanders and everything else they're hearing
Right.
at once, and you lose like that beautiful intimate performance that like makes a great record to me. And then down the line in mixing, if the artist has like altered their voice because of all of those processors, you're kind of like married to a lot of that because
Right.
you start tinkering with it and like they don't sound like themselves.
Sure.
And you're like, why don't you sound like yourself? And then you put everything back on. And you're like, okay, now you just sound like an overprocessed version of yourself. But you start pulling some of the unnecessary processing and like getting to a more streamlined thing. And like you notice like you're like they just don't like that's not how they would have that's not the tone they would have used, that's not the delivery that they would have used.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And so that's your vocal approach. What about like I know obviously bass is really important in hip hop, and more like the low end. What's your kind of thoughts about low end and where it should sit in a mix?
I mean, when you talk about Memphis rap, it's forward, you
Hmm.
know, put it where it's supposed to be and then make it a little too loud. Um, man, I was just thinking about it this morning, actually, working on a record, but I learned from the low end master to me, one of the real low end masters, DJ Squeaky.
Hmm.
Memphis's DJ Squeaky, the godfather of modern low end to me. You put him up there with the Miami guys and a few other guys as the low end. But like Squeaky always taught me when I would be mixing early on records he was producing to basically just if the low end is sound designed right and done right and the production is right, I mean that's the easiest part of the record. You don't really have to touch it.
Yeah, I remember Leslie Braithwaite. He was doing some early class before he was doing the mix with the masters stuff, and somebody asked him, basically how you get that low end, and he was just like, "I just turn it up."
Yo, I just put it
But
where it's. I mean, if
yeah,
if I have to do a bunch to the low end, like maybe some subtle curving just to like shift it. People that make beats on like studio Aspergers will forget that like
hmm,
the fundamental frequency that they're knocking just won't exist in
right,
humanity.
uh huh,
We've talked about this a lot
yes,
over the years.
yes, we have.
Like you got to like kind of shift that up just for the sake of translation. But even that, I mean, you do too much of it, especially on minimalist music, and you just you suck the life out.
Sure. And how much of like your work right now, like what percentage of it is in the box with plugins versus breaking out anything analog? And we're not talking about tracking right now, just mixing.
Just mixing.
Hmm.
Um, Everything runs through an analog board and then is picked back up. Everything runs through analog compression. Um, that's like mix bus wise. And then within my mix, I use a fair amount of analog gear. Do I
Hmm.
take my camera and spin it around and be like, we got all sorts of
Toys, yeah.
equipment in here and
Yeah.
a dog. And
Most important part.
oh, the absolute most important part.
Yeah. I'm working on a new studio dog, so you're always like hybrid setup. Is that correct or safe to
Yeah,
say? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Most of the time, it's a very hybrid setup.
And like when you're making your decisions, how long are you going to spend on like getting a vocal right or getting the bass to sit? How long does it take you to like really kind of make something behave?
It really depends. I can't even. I've been thinking about this lately because
Uh-huh.
it really depends. Some records just fly together, and some records are a fight,
Do you ever
and
like come back to that record the next day when you got like a fresh cup of coffee and like, oh, I need to go revisit that again?
yes, but I'm also hard-headed as fuck, and, if I sit down on it, I'm gonna finish it. If I don't like what I finished the next day, so be it, but I'm gonna finish it.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of the same way with that.
one of the guys that I trained under was super old school, and he was like, "Yo, a mix is an event. It's a moment in time. You start it, you finish it. If you don't like it the next day, you can do it again."
Yeah,
He
I
was like,
agree.
"But it's a moment in time, and start it and finish it in that moment."
Yeah, I always tell my artists to keep moving forward, never kind of go backwards because you're just totally screwing yourself every time.
Yeah, I mean, it just you get stuck in a feedback loop, man.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And so I guess really what's really your advice to producers like that are making stuff right now and bringing stuff to guys like yourself to mix and what's kind of the big general rule of thumb advice you'd say, hey, this is what I'd always want you to do when you bring me stuff. What are some of those things?
Send me everything I need the first time.
Do you have
Uh,
problems with, like, labeling or versions or, um
Labeling, I mean, I'm gonna change all that no matter what.
mhm,
Like, you wanna, put a label on there, great, you don't, those to me are, the minutia of it, and, yeah, I guess in, a textbook, they say, "Make sure you label all your tracks properly, do," but, that's, ease of that's a minor ease. The real one is, especially if one is exporting stems or
mhm,
something, is take all that and reload it real quick and listen to it and be like,
right,
Are all the pieces here? Are
right,
these right? Do I have multiple things going to the same mixer track in FL? All those kind of things that just require a stop and okay, now let's get the right thing, and okay, now let's start again.
gotcha.
Labeling stuff is 4 or 5 extra minutes of. I know people hate when somebody like me says I don't really care about labels, but, if you send me the right thing, I'm very happy.
Well, I mean, for a mastering guy, labels are a little more important because we have to encode metadata and nobody's
Yes.
coming back to it, so, I guess I'm a little more, picky about people sending the right information with their stuff, but, yeah, I kinda get where you're coming from.
On my end, it's that one. If you can send me the right stuff,
Yeah, okay.
then, and we don't have to go back and forth just to get the right thing. Um, that's the best one.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions and just, off the top of your head, just say the first thing that comes to your mind here. So, one, what's the most overrated mixing habit?
Side chaining,
Okay. What's the biggest mistake beginners make?
forgetting the mid range.
Okay, and last one, well, not second to last one, favorite plugin.
Anything mixed wave and make believe are making right now.
Okay, and last one, New York or New Jersey, who does better bagels?
Jersey all day.
Um, I'm not gonna not defend my New York brethren, but, we'll leave that at that, and I'm gonna thank, Ari for
Specifically, Sonny's Bagels in South Orange, New Jersey.
Shout out to Utopia Bagels in Queens. All right.
Yo, I've had Utopia. That's good.
Yeah.
Sonny's Bagels is the everyman bagel.
All right. I'm gonna visit Sonny's if I ever manage to get back to Jersey. Um, thank you, Ari. Thank you for taking some time tonight.
Oh
Uh,
man, my pleasure.
I'm sure we're gonna hear from both of us at some point very soon with some great new music. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks everybody for watching today, and I'll see you all next week.